I definitely can relate to youth. I love working with our youth. I can relate because I grew up in East Side in Denver, and I grew up during the Chicano movement, and my father was considered one of the leaders that not just locally but nationally in the Chicano movement, which was kind of fashioned after the Black Civil Rights movement. And my father worked with people like Dr. King and Angela Davis and Stokely Carmichael, who became Kwame Ture, and Imamu Baraka, and American Indian movement, the Bala Courts and the Means and the Banks, and the Hopi Nation with Thomas Bianca, and these incredible, and Cesar Chavez, and Dolores Huerta, all these luminaries of the civil and human rights movements and the communities of color of struggle of the 20th century. And growing up in that, being tempered in that, I was always able to relate to our youth and come from a real genuine place, and and really, and still holding them accountable, still putting strong boundaries on them and holding them to those boundaries and putting structure in their lives. That's so important for our young people, but also understanding where they're coming from, understanding their perspective of the streets. Culture just ain't about linguistically. Culture just isn't about ethnicity. There's 1,000 cultures. There's the culture of the streets, the culture of gangs, culture of tagging, the culture of prisons, the culture of juvie hall. I mean, these are all cultures. Culture of homelessness. And you have to be responsive. People, this society, the dominant society, they make a wrap out of a tortilla and they call it a wrap, and it's the new thing. And we've been making tortillas for thousands of years. They call it restorative justice. It's tribal justice systems. And tribal justice systems are indigenous justice systems, whether they're in Africa or in this hemisphere or in Europe, where they're indigenous, they're tribal justice systems. It's not restorative justice. And so it's not a new thing. These come from ancient indigenous peoples, and we're part of that, And so kids need to understand that when you can talk to the child and let them know about the history and their contributions to not just their community, but to mankind and to the global community, you watch their eyes open. You watch them have the aha moments, and you watch them perk up and saying, yeah, I am somebody and I can be somebody. And it doesn't have to be this way. And that's where that redirection starts. And then you help them with building the tools and the skills for coping, for achieving, accelerating, and leading. And that's what those children see that light. And that's when they turn on. But when you like I say, and I digress because dominant society says, you can be competent in a culture or you can be relevant. No, you can't. Culture is dynamic. It changes every second of every day. It's a living and breathing entity. You can respond to the culture. If you're responsive, you're going to make inroads.